We'd like to take this opportunity to introduce ourselves and the business we hope to open at 4802 Main Street. We are Beth and Marty Friedman from Basking Ridge, New Jersey and Wardsboro, Vermont, and our business is called Pastime Pinball. As you may be aware, there has been a resurgence in interest in pinball in recent years. Prices of decades-old classic games have been rising, new manufacturers are entering the market, and pinball museums, arcades, and barcades are launching in cities and towns around the country. Toyota even aired a pinball-themed car commercial during the Super Bowl. Our store, Pastime Pinball, will be a museum arcade where patrons pay an admission fee and all games are set to free play. No tokens, coins, or tickets will be needed. Our curated collection will include 45 to 50 of the best pinball machines from the 1950s to present day. Each game will feature a brief synopsis and history of pinball, and its major American manufacturers will also be on display. A few classic video games such as Pac-Man and Donkey Kong will be housed on the second level with our snack bar, which will offer hot dogs, pizza, popcorn, Belgian waffles, nachos and cheese, soft pretzels, and ice cream novelties. We will be applying for a liquor license so that we can offer bottled beer and wine along with non-alcoholic beverages. The snack bar area will be available for children's birthday parties during business hours, and the entire venue will be available for private events when we are not open to the general public. We understand that there is a statute on the books that prohibits businesses from owning more than a few arcade games, and we respectfully request an exemption so that we can bring some, quote, flipping good fun, unquote, to Manchester. Thank you, Beth and Marty Friedman.
Okay, now that we've got that introduction, I want to go to the ordinance. And Section 8-4 is game table and video game machine restrictions. Section 1 says commercial properties in the town of Manchester shall be limited to having not more than 2 game tables and not more than 4 video game machines. And then Section 2 says that notwithstanding subsection 1 of this section, the select board by majority vote may approve more than 2 game tables and more than 4 video game machines for a commercial property at a warned public meeting. We had quite a history in town. We've had several arcades over the years, our last couple of go-arounds with arcades, Wayne, you may remember this better than I.
I do.
There was a problem with loitering, and
they became host to a lot of unsavory and illegal activities, so the town needed to clamp down on them. That was the impetus of this ordinance, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Now, having said that,
yes,
the ordinance speaks specifically to game tables and video game machines. I'm not sure where pinball machines fit into that.
game table.
It's
Probably a game tables.
Well, it also talks about foosball, bumper pool tables, and things like that. So, didn't specifically address pinball machines, but if pinball machines aren't in that, and it said other such games or something like that, it's higher up in the definitions itself.
Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't go to
we had a discussion and we said, well, you could argue that you're exempt, but it'd be a lot safer to come to the select board and get the waiver versus somebody saying, oh, they're in violation of Chapter 8. I think if pinball machines aren't in that category of foosball and
Okay, here
pool
we go.
tables and bumper,
Yeah, you're right. Under definitions, game tables shall mean any billiards table, shuffleboard table, bumper pool table, foosball table, air hockey table, or similar equipment. And video games are more specific. That's any computerized device that accepts or requires tokens, coins, currency, debit cards, blah, blah, blah. The Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and that sort of thing would be considered video games. I think that probably, for purposes of this discussion, the pinball machines would fall more into the game table. But clearly, the intent was aimed at arcades. And now I throw it back, the ball back into your court, Craig. Why this would be different and something that we should consider?
Well, I think at its base, you could call it an arcade. They call it a museum arcade. I would call it more sort of an interactive museum. They're going to have machines from the 1950s all the way through, and history of the machine. There's going to be information there more than just go play the machine. So there is going to be a little bit of knowledge to be learned.
There's some tables, there's some games that you can't play, right? They're antiques.
I think they can have a few that are
That are like-
two
Off limits.
standoff kind of a thing.
That are like original pieces. I guess the original, I think they were telling me that the original pinball games didn't even have flippers. I forget, I think you just pulled the thing and it went up.
And there are what?
Yeah, and it was just basically how far you pulled the thing.
I'll tell a very brief story. I was down in West Springfield, Massachusetts at a horse show with my son Matt, and we went, this was years and years ago, we went to a pizza place to get dinner and take it back to the showgrounds. And ordered the pizza, and I looked and they had a pinball machine there, so I dropped in a couple of coins, whatever it was, and started playing. And Matt was standing there watching. And by the time our pizza was ready, I had more pinballs available when I started. And I had just set a new record for that machine in West Springfield, Massachusetts. And I walked away from it eventually. Matt's going, "How long can you play this thing?" I said, "Apparently a long time." So I may visit this place if it comes to happen. But so it's a museum. It appeared in the letter that there's going to be a liquor license, so there'll be.
That's what they're talking about doing, and along with the snack bar, and it's the typical quote unquote arcade snacks, ice cream and nothing serious as far as cooking goes. So there's the specifics of the language of the law. They're not going to be accepting tokens or coins like the law talks about. It's going to be a general admission, and everything's going to be open to play. And one can argue that pinball machines aren't listed specifically in the law as well. But on a broader note, bringing something to town that's other than clothing or retail or shoes or something along those lines, where there is not a lot to do for anybody, locals and visitors alike, whether it's during the day or in the evening or on a weekend.